Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Talking Smack, where we talk superheroes, movies, animation, and comics. I am your host, Josh Scar, and this is a big week. We are bringing back the Talking SmaCdowns, and I am joined this week by Matt. Matt, how you doing?
Doing good. How are you?
I'm doing better now that we have actually nailed the take. We are also joined by Alex. Alex, welcome back.
Hold on, we didn't get to my part of the script yet. Oh, hi, Josh. Thanks for inviting me back.
And we are also joined by Matt 2, aka John. John, welcome back.
Thanks for having me. I almost left immediately when you forgot what podcast you were hosting.
I swear I have not had anything to drink other than water this afternoon or this evening, but I have no idea what happened. And for those of you that are confused right now, just wait for the post credits. It'll be fine.
Things went downhill rapidly.
I know, we began the show.
So before we start our fight card, we have our quick ad spot from voluntary input. But just to remind everyone, we are still running with the National Kidney Foundation charity event that we are taking donations for. The link is in the episode description. We're working with Leo to help raise $1,000 this month for kidney research. All of the money donated goes to the Kidney Research Fund, other than whatever PayPal takes off the top for their cut. We don't see a dime of it, and it's just a really good cause that Leo is very attached to. Leo is a great person. I will hopefully get him on the podcast one day, but as I mentioned last week, there's going to be some job changes happening. Alex is now also going to be losing his script writing privileges, but he doesn't know that yet.
Oh, shit.
Doing the full Star Trek podcast, baby.
I'm just kidding. We don't work a script anyway, so Alex has been just writing nothing for a long time. It's just busy work for him. But we're going to take a quick ad so we can hear from voluntary input, and we'll be right back with Talking SmaCdowns.
Are you a nerd? Are you a person? Then check out Voluntary Input, where we not only have open discussions about tech, TV, movies, and gaming, but also open discussions about people, and sometimes with the people behind the tech. Catch new episodes with me, Leo Allen, bi-weekly on Tuesdays on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, Good Pods, and pretty much everywhere else you listen to podcasts. And be sure to check out videos of every episode on YouTube and Twitch. Simply go to voluntaryinput.com to find all the ways you can listen to us, contact us, and better yet, select register as a guest to be a guest on the show, because we are always looking for great guests like you.
Never forced, never coerced. Welcome to Voluntary Input.
And we are back. So for those of you that participated in our poll that we had for the Talking SmaCdowns event, we did have one change because Harry Potter failed his drug test. So that fight is not happening at the moment. That fight will happen when Harry gets clean. And unfortunately, that doesn't seem like it's going to happen for a long time. But we do have a replacement fight. This fight is... Oh, let's explain the rules first. Talking SmaCdowns. Basically, fictional characters enter into what we're calling like a giant abandoned warehouse, and it's multiple stories. So if it's like Spider-Man, he can swing around, or if they've got flying gear, they can fly. They have their full skill set available to them, and the fight just happens to the point of incapacitation, because there are characters that could technically never die, like Deadpool or Wolverine and stuff like that. So it's to the point where someone just can no longer keep going in the fight. With that, our opening bout is Dobby versus Scrappy Doo, which I should have actually... Hold on one second. I want to get the name of the person who suggested that so I can credit them.
If you would have read your script, you would have known the name.
I told you that's busy work. The Nerdstalgic Podcast. The Nerdstalgic Podcast recommended Dobby versus Scrappy Doo, and that is what we're going to do here. So, who would like to begin opening arguments?
I will. I've given this a lot of thought over the last 30 seconds since we decided to go with this one. And I'm going to say Dobby wins every time.
You don't believe in puppy power?
No. And let me tell you why. Okay, first of all, Dobby's been abused his whole life, so we know he can take a punch. All right.
Oh my god.
Second of all, was that too far? Was that too much for the podcast? Second of all,
I gotta go.
okay, he's got magic. All right, and it's as powerful as a wizard's magic, according to the books. It's just different. So Scrappy Doo, all he is a little steroid enhanced puppy with some low key boxing skills. All right. So I'm gonna say Dobby every time.
Here's the thing. At this point in history, it's early June 2022. For all you historians listening in the far future, at this point, it's an L for Harry Potter anything every day. Dobby is a little shithead who is...
How dare you?
He is a slave who wants to be free, and he gets free, and then later they're like, oh, by the way, he's weird. They love being slaves. Also, J.K. Rowling's a turf. Fuck Harry Potter. Scrappy Doo wins.
Okay, but completely disregarding J.K. Rowling's, if we're just doing these two, I say Dobby. What do the rest of you think?
The reason why I'm going with Scrappy Doo, even though I hate that little shit, and the best thing the live action Scooby Doo ever did was make him the villain. Spoiler alert for a 20-freaking-year-old movie. But it turned out that Scrappy Doo, on top of being a puppy eternally, being able to lift a grown man and Great Dane while a puppy, is capable of making animatrons that look like Monk and tricking everybody onto the island. I'm going to say that Monk, with the puppy powers, is capable of kicking a house elf down the stairs a few times until the house elf is unconscious.
Yeah.
Hey, listen,
It's a jungle out there, man.
I'm not saying that Dobby doesn't take some hits. I'm saying Dobby has prepared for this his entire life, and he's ready to take those hits and keep on coming.
Are you saying Dobby is basically Rocky? His
yeah,
his ability
so.
to win the fight is just to get punched in the face until the other person gives up?
That's what I'm saying.
Here's the thing. Dobby's dead.
Okay, that went downhill really quickly. That really ruined my argument.
Oh my god!
What? You know what? I said in my contract I don't want him back on the show while I'm on here, and you ignored me, and this is what happens.
I'm legit crying.
So am I. Well, I got my vote ready.
There's something really wrong with you.
We don't have a consensus, so I have to chime in here. In light of new information, I have to go with Scrappy Doo.
God damn you, Matt.
Damn it, my side hurts.
You ruin everything for me.
It's in the books, man.
Spoiler alert.
Oh god, it hurts.
Ow. God, my side hurts.
Trans rights are human rights.
I'm not laughing at that. I'm laughing at Dobby being dead. Just gotta clarify in case we snip the audio.
Yep. Fuck that little house elf.
Jesus.
And the woman who created him.
Okay, breathe.
Okay.
Oh.
Oh,
Yes, trans rights are human rights. I agree. Oh,
That's
That's
Jesus,
the
my
strongest
ribs.
opinion that I have. That's the strongest opinion I have tonight, so. You might not even hear from me the rest of the night.
Oh, drink of water, reset. By judge's decision, it's 3-1 Scrappy Doo. By simple fact that Dobby apparently is just dropped dead and dead.
Did you? He's dead in the books. He died.
I would argue that Scrappy has an unfair advantage then. We should have picked another dead character to fight him.
Okay.
do Dobby.
Moving on.
Dobby versus
No,
Hedwig.
we're moving on.
Dobby versus Hedwig the Owl. They're both
Ooh.
dead.
I'm going to go with Hedwig then.
Edward's got the technical advantage. He's still falling.
Okay, moving on. This
God
one,
damn you,
I think
Matt.
I actually... The next fight is suggested by Meek Martin. We have modified it a little bit because his original suggestion was Brock Sampson from the Venture Brothers versus Brock Lesnar, which I actually really enjoyed. I thought that was a really clever loophole on the fictional character aspect of the idea for talking SmackDowns. You have the whole kayfabe, whatever the term is, where wrestlers are portraying a character and whatnot. So technically, the character of Brock Lesnar in the WWE is a fictional character. So I like that. But we also added in Eddie Brock to make it a triple threat match, Battle of the Brocks.
Now, my only question here is this Eddie Brock without the symbiote?
That is the question, isn't it?
Because if he's got the symbiote, then he wins, hands down. But he's without the symbiote. I think he's doing okay still.
I'm gonna go with it's just Tom Hardy, Eddie Brock, or maybe even the animated series Eddie Brock because he's pretty jacked.
It's like that 20 minutes in Venom 2 where Venom is off, like, getting shit-faced in the Bahamas or whatever, and Eddie Brock is just sad in his apartment.
I haven't seen Venom 2 yet, so...
Oh, sorry, spoilers.
I have no point of reference. I do not care for spoilers at all. I'm actually going to go with a wild card on this one. I'm going to say Brock Sampson. I don't know why. I just think that Bowie knife that he has on his hip is going to come into play.
Brock Sampson in the Venture Brothers is portrayed as like the baddest ass tough guy, assassin, secret agent, whatever you've ever met. So I think like that's a pretty strong case, especially if no aliens are involved, no alien goo.
But like Brock Lesnar is a pretty successful MMA fighter as well, which I believe he works that into his professional wrestling performances. I'm not 100% sure as I don't follow modern wrestling. But I don't think Eddie Brock wins at all.
No. I mean, in the 90s comics, there was an issue where they discussed Eddie Brock's strength levels, and they described him as being at Olympic levels. I would argue that just the sheer muscle involved with fighting Brock Lesnar would shut him down. And Brock Sampson is a killing machine, so he kills them both.
Yeah, this is a better matchup than I first thought, especially because they're all beefy blonde boys, buff boys.
It's true. I really think that it's coming down to either Brock Sampson or Brock, who was the other one?
Lesnar?
Yes. Yeah.
There are times in that show where he goes into like literally frothing at the mouth, like blood rage.
I have not seen that show yet. I just researched it. I had to research quite a few of the suggestions here.
It's an all right show.
Alex, any input?
I just don't see Eddie Brock as being able to take on Brock Lesnar when Red Foreman could kick his ass. That's my problem with Eddie Brock.
Well, that leads to an interesting wrinkle, I think, in the Battle of the Brocks. Eddie Brock 90s cartoon, Eddie Brock Spider-Man 3, Eddie Brock Tom Hardy, Eddie Brock
teenager from Spectacular Spider-Man.
Sure, yeah. Who wins of the 4 Eddie Brocks?
I'm gonna go with Eddie Brock from the cartoon. Spider-Man 3 Eddie Brock was so whiny and had literally no muscle. So I'm going to go with animated series, Gigantic Brock.
I know I brought this up. I cannot get into my Spider-Man 3 defense here. This is
not today. No, that's not what this one is.
I know this is my fault.
It was brought up for me to bring up another fictional character in that could kick both their asses, especially since, at one point, he shot RoboCop in the dick.
Ooh, yeah, that'll do it.
I have to go with Brock Sampson. Just the brief, few cartoons that I saw of him. I just think there's enough physicality that if Lesnar wasn't looking for the ref to call it off, Sampson would just keep going at him.
It's definitely Brock Sampson and that 70s show, Eddie Brock.
So I just wanted to throw it out there. We did do a fan poll for the fight card that we had for tonight, and the fan poll says that Eddie Brock wins the Battle of the Brocks.
I
False.
think that if we did not make the call on the fly for him not to be Venom, like if he's Venom,
Yeah, well, I mean, Venom. Yeah, he wins.
yeah,
Right.
Yeah, because he's basically invulnerable.
Yeah, he can take bullets and heavy duty physical damage, and he just walks it off. So obviously, the Venom suit is just too much.
here's the question: is the outcome for either of those different from either of those two scenarios if they are all Venoms?
In that case, I go with Eddie Brock. Experience, just
All right.
from experience.
Yeah, I think the bond, among other things, kind of makes their symbiosis partnership stronger.
See, I would disagree. I would think Brock Lesnar at that point, because while Eddie kind of is reluctantly bonded with Venom, I think Brock and Venom would go into the gym together. They'd be working out together. They'd be doing spotting each other. I think they would be like deciding which matches to take. We're gonna go back to MMA. Can you watch my supplements? What are we doing here? Can we like what kind of proteins are we eating? I think he would bond so quickly, getting those reps in, that he would be unstoppable.
You know what? I was thinking of literally any Eddie Brock, but the one from the Venom movies. So you might be right.
All right, we've covered literally every possible scenario.
And Brock Sampson seems to be the unequivocal winner for the most part, with the exception of if they all have Venom suits.
Yeah, the fan vote is purely ceremonial. It has no input unless there's a tie.
Fair enough.
Next on the fight card, we have a Hell in the Cell match featuring Peter Griffin and Stan Smith, both voiced by Seth MacFarlane.
Well, okay, here's my question, and I'm just a little dummy. I'm just a little dumb boy. What does that mean, Hell in a Cell?
I was wondering the same thing.
It's a giant cage match. So the idea of Hell in a Cell is the entire... I mean, it doesn't make sense in the context of this fight scenario because they're already in a building. But the idea of Hell in a Cell is the entire ring is encased in a giant cage. Like there's a roof on it. There's no way for anyone to get in and out until there's a winner.
Gotcha.
But this one was suggested by the Shane and I show.
Well, I have a strong opinion on this.
Okay. Let's hear it.
Peter Griffin.
Because he fought the chicken?
He fought the chicken. I mean, they went through nuclear reactors, boat crashes, plane crashes, being skewered, and just in every other fight involving Peter Griffin. I mean, Peter Griffin versus Homer Simpson. Let's be honest, Peter Griffin won that one. I don't care what they say.
He did.
So I go Peter Griffin. I think he's just all around tougher than Stan Smith.
Well, his show has been canceled multiple times, or at least once. and he came back.
Well, American Dad's been canceled at least twice, if not 3 times as well. And that's still
I
going.
didn't know that, so maybe Stan wins.
See, I would argue that Peter Griffin would lose in a Hell in a Cage match because of what you said about going through walls and all that stuff. If he's restrained and he can't build momentum to carry him through walls and planes and nuclear reactors, if he is slowed down by being constricted in this environment, I think he can't build that inertia to keep going. And I think that is where your CIA training comes in, where Stan is able to take him on.
So the thing I was going to say was the gimmick of most Hell in the Cell matches that I'm aware of is that at some point they get out. Pulling out my old WWE nerd card here. The very first one was Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker. And at some point the cage was unlocked and Shawn Michaels booked it out of there. And The Undertaker chased him down and they ended up like on top of the cage.
They don't live in the cage, Josh.
But during the fight, like the fight had not ended yet. Like there for whatever, I forget exactly the reason, but during the fight, the cage was opened, even though it wasn't supposed to have been. And Shawn Michaels got out and then like ended up on top of the cage, and they fought on top of the cage for a little while, and then they went back in before the end of the match.
Okay.
Boy, can you imagine how red in the face the guy that was supposed to lock that cage was? He was like, damn it, I had one job
It's like, oh no.
and I forgot.
And then it becomes a gimmick, and he has to, every year, he has to relive the humiliation of, oh my gosh, I forgot to lock the cage again.
and they probably in secret, like maybe the guy's name is Paul. They're like, don't pull a Paul out there.
That man's name was Vince McMahon, and he's now cursed to be an even bigger shithead every year.
Yeah.
All right, so who forgets to lock the cage? Are we talking like Chris does? Are we talking Francine? Is it like a Roger thing where Roger shows
Well, I mean,
up?
it's got to be Meg, doesn't it?
It's got to be Meg.
Okay, now is
Yeah.
Joe the referee here?
Something that's been unsaid so far that I think is important to consider. Dan Smith, he's got a gun.
True.
But does he have a gun in this context? Is the question.
Why wouldn't he?
He always has a gun on him. He's a right-wing gun nut.
As someone who still watches American Dad, it was confirmed this season that the beginning part of the episode where he jumps out of bed, he gets his gun, he puts his suit on, he drives to work, he crashes the car into the front of the flag. That actually happens every single day he goes to work. That is actually his routine. So he does have, I believe he would have a gun on him for that match.
Okay, then, I mean, if you're throwing in firearms, I would argue that's an unfair advantage.
But we have seen Peter fighting former President Trump in biplanes, shooting each other, taking bullet shots, and surviving, then crashing in midair and fighting their way down.
Good for him.
So could we see him take a few shots and just last enough until the inertia takes over where they figure out Meg's an idiot and forgot to lock the cage?
So I think what happens here is there is an altercation between Roger and Brian, and Stewie uses it as an opportunity to interfere, but his interference goes awry and he accidentally takes out Peter and Stan wins. That would be my guess.
I could see that.
We all know who the real winner is here.
America?
No, it's Ted.
Because McFarlane gets freed up to do his Ted cartoon, his Ted Peacock show.
Yeah, Ted 3 is coming, thanks to this. We just got to get Wahlberg signed in.
I was hoping you were going to say Orville season 4.
Oh, if only.
But I still think Stan wins.
You think Stan wins?
I think Peter wins.
I'm going Peter.
I've seen like 4 episodes of American Dad, so I have to say Peter Griffin. Even though
all right, the Peters take it, and the fan vote was 52%, well, basically 53% Peter, and Stan 47%. So the listener vote is with you.
If we're actually talking TV show, I prefer American Dad.
I've heard that.
It actually has a running continuity, character growth, storylines that span entire seasons. It actually has a thread that follows through versus we have to reset every single episode that Family Guy's fallen into forever.
I haven't seen anything that Seth MacFarlane has done in at least 7 years.
I've never been more disgusted with you in my life.
Thank you.
With me?
I've always been like low key, but this is that Family Guy is not as good as American Dad.
Current Family Guy or Family Guy from like 2008 to 2012?
We can't do this.
No.
Yeah, we can't do this. This will go on forever.
All right, our co-main event, we have My Little Pony versus Powerpuff Girls, as suggested by Leo from Voluntary Input.
Okay, I've been going first every time, so somebody else should go first.
Alex, I think you have a case to make, so why don't you make it?
All right, so here is my argument for why My Little Pony versus Powerpuff Girls. First, I'm going to start with the fact that there are 6 main ponies that you have to deal with. Now, that is against 3 questionably aged, somewhere between 5 to 8 years old, tiny superpowered girls. You have 6 ponies. Now, these ponies live in a land of enchantment where there's Pegasus and there's changelings, and there's all kinds of magical creatures that they deal with, and they teach them the power of friendship and magic every episode. But it's also canon that the My Little Ponies, they also have Doctor Who and Q who reside in there. And Q is going to step in before you punch Fluttershy too many times in the face to wreck the Powerpuff Girls.
But would he be considered a My Little Pony?
So I think in that scenario we have to limit it to some degree to like the characters you would call the main characters. Because the Powerpuff Girls know Satan.
That's true.
He doesn't like them very much, but they know Satan. So I think it's got to be like the Powerpuff Girls versus like whatever. I haven't really seen any Powerpuff Girls, but also you mentioned that there are 3 small little girls, which is true.
Mm-hmm.
But they're like 3 small little like supermen.
It's true.
So they're indestructible.
So before we did this,
But they can be incapacitated. We've seen it several times. Sorry, Matt, too.
that's okay. I did a little research on this because I was pretty unfamiliar with both canons. And let me tell you, first of all, be real careful what you're Googling. Second of all, I would say that I researched superpowers for both sides. And the list of superpowers that the Powderpuff Girls have it's like a Superman from the 50s, where every episode they just gave him a new superpower. I mean, it seems like they can do pretty much anything. So I would argue, even though they're greatly outnumbered, it really wouldn't matter in the long run just because they're so OP'd.
What about their alicorn magic? Because they can cast magic. Rarity can make fantastic outfits, can cast from her horn. We also got Twilight Sparkle, can do the same thing. We have Applejack, who's really good at baking. She's going to trick them into eating one of her Granny Smith pies, and that's going to be laced with poison.
Ooh, this got dark.
Have we considered the possibility that the Powerpuff Girls that they're fighting are the adult Powerpuff Girls from the aborted CW live action soap opera drama?
No, I think we're going based on the fight card that I created. It is the animated series Powerpuff Girls, and then just because I had the opportunity, I googled. We have Applejack, Rainbow Dash, Rarity, Fluttershy, and Pinkie Pie as the main 6. Besides Twilight Sparkle, Alex, you did mention Rarity. You said is the one that can.
Rarity's one of the main 6.
And she makes outfits?
Yes, she's primarily a fashionista.
I don't think that would hold up that well.
You're going to look great.
That translates into combat very well.
It's true, but her main power while doing this is she does use her horn for telekinesis.
Okay, all right.
Ooh, that's tough.
Mm-hmm. She's also been surprisingly good at combat because she has punched out many of the changelings for threatening her outfits.
I would argue that the Powderpuff Girls are so combat focused all the time that just in terms of experience and raw power, they're going to kick some serious ass.
Here's my answer. And I said this a lot the last time we did this, and I haven't had the opportunity to say it a lot this time, but I think it's very true here. I think they'd be friends.
I do think the Powerpuff Girls would be enamored with the cuteness of the ponies and vice versa.
I think the one more thing that the My Little Ponies have on their side is once the Powerpuff Girls have beaten up 5 of them, and the last one's crying and believing in her friends, that they start to turn. And then the last one will probably be Rarity, because she seems the least threatening one. And then Rarity reminds them that they had a canceled CW show, and My Little Pony got multiple spinoffs.
One of them was, my understanding is that they were just regular teen girls in high school, which is weird.
That was weird.
Maybe those are the versions we're talking about. The Powerpuff Girls versus teen girls.
Equestrian Girls? Yeah, that was a weird one.
And we know that teenage girls are very scary. Maybe they win in that situation. I don't know. But I would go Powerpuff Girls every time.
I think they're friends. I think that's me abstaining. They're friends.
Ugh.
Alex, where do you got?
I honestly think that My Little Pony stops beating on them, and they start making outfits and sharing some other apple pie and teach each other the power of magic of friendship.
Man, I got so scared. You said making outfits, and I got so scared for a second about where that was ending that I momentarily passed out.
I had to replay that in your head a couple times really quickly.
Yeah, I was like, what is happening right now? I stumbled on one of the people who made the website when I was researching it. This is terrible.
No, I'm already ashamed that I know so much about My Little Pony.
There's no shame. No shame.
There's a little shame.
I have to agree with Matt too. I think, again, in the spirit of the conversation, I think Powerpuff Girls win, and it's because Bubbles is hardcore.
Exactly.
You just wanted an excuse to do that.
Yeah, more or less, but still, that's my vote. And also, the fan vote is a staggering 89.5% in favor of the Powerpuff Girls to 10.5% for My Little Pony.
Damn.
All right.
All right, moving on to our main event. This is going pretty
yes.
quickly, actually. I think. So our main event is one that I concocted in my brain. It is the battle of good luck versus bad luck. It is Domino versus Black Cat. So Matt 2, you've opened up a lot of these. Let's start with Matt 1.
Well, before you put it in those terms, I didn't think of it in that way before. So I don't think these characters are very similar aside from having like luck based powers. So I just sort of defaulted to the character I like better, and I think that's got to be Black Cat.
Ugh, you would say that.
So for those that don't know, Matt, do you want to give a little bit, or Matt 2, would either of you want to give a quick history on Black Cat's bad luck powers?
I've read a lot of Spider-Man comics, and I know a lot about, more than any man should, about Spider-Man, but I am not sure that I could even do that because they are fairly inconsistent. Sometimes she can give people bad luck, basically, is it? Sometimes she can't.
Just depends on the writer.
So the versions I'm thinking are Black Cat has bad luck powers that negatively affect whoever she happens to be fighting with or trying to get away from. It typically happens to Spider-Man. Usually his web shooters fail or he slips or something stupid happens to him. So that's the Black Cat version I'm thinking of. She has bad luck powers were given to her in an experiment to make her more super.
Yeah.
And Domino is a mutant, and she has low grade good luck powers. Like she'll fire a bolt in the air, and 5 minutes later when it comes down, it hits somebody in the head that was trying to hurt her.
Yep.
So I'm thinking that Domino versus Black Cat. Domino also is a mercenary. Black Cat is a thief.
But she's a very good thief.
She's a great thief. All right. Some would say, she's like, I don't know, the Catwoman of DC.
You want to try that one again?
Catwoman is the Catwoman.
Oh, Black Cat is like the Catwoman of DC, but she's got bad luck powers.
She is like DC Comics is. She's like Detective Comics Catwoman.
Matt,
DC Comics.
Just cut it all
John,
out.
sorry, I forgot to update your script. I put an edit in there. You should read that line again. I believe I updated it correctly. It's Black Cat.
Okay.
Is the Catwoman
Black Cat
of Marvel.
is the Catwoman of Marvel. There we go. Got it. Nailed it. All right. Anyway.
John, I can't edit that, right? I have to leave that in.
You're going to have to edit that. I don't know what happened. That really got away from me. Anyway, I think Domino wins. I think their powers cancel each other out. Then you're stuck with Domino, who is a gun-wielding mercenary, versus a thief, who doesn't even have any kind of weapons that are like long range.
Right, but that's where I think Domino actually loses, because Black Cat's power, her bad luck power, is continuously acting. Domino's power stops the moment she is in any way subdued or no longer moving. So I think while they would neutralize each other, the moment Black Cat is able to tangle her up with a whip or able to bind her up with one of her hooks or something like that, the power is nullified and she's able to subdue her with her strength. Because Black Cat has fought Kingpin and has fought Spider-Man and beaten them on her strength alone with her agileness. She's dodged bullets. I think Domino's limitation is that if she's not moving, she loses. And all Black Cat has to do is get her pinned once, lay a kiss on her, and Domino starts going, "Aw," and then gets choked out.
Black Cat would do a heist. She would run a con that would make Domino think she's won. And then it turns out that the warehouse is a fake or whatever. And then by the time she realizes it, Black Cat is 20 miles away with the trophy or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, I maintain that Domino, with her skill as a mercenary, she's trained in hand-to-hand combat and mercenary work by Cable, who is the Marvel badass as far as Black Ops go. I think you guys are really undercutting Domino just because she's a much less popular character. But I think if they go against each other, Domino wins every time.
My thing is, I think that the Domino has the limitation of she must be in motion for it to be triggering. And I'm also going off of that Black Cat, when fighting Spider-Man, has often been faster or able to beat his spider sense through her manipulation. So that's where I think Black Cat wins. It's not just she gives Spider-Man bad luck, but if her bad luck ability is so strong, along with her manipulation and persuasion, that she is able to activate and get out of there before the spider sense kicks on, I don't think Domino would have the ability to start moving before she's starting to get tripped up after a while.
So I'm kind of in the same boat as Matt too, where I think the powers kind of cancel each other out. So it's really who is the better overall fighter and combatant. And I kind of think that is actually Domino. I don't know a lot about her, but from what I understand, she is very well trained. Not that Black Cat isn't. I just think that maybe through a fight of brute strength, Domino wins. But if it becomes a battle of endurance, I think maybe Felicia wins. So I'm going to stick with my gut and say that I think Domino wins. That would give us a 2-2 tie. Or Matt, Matt won? What was your decision?
I think for me it's Black Cat.
So it's 2-2, which means the fan vote actually determines this one, which the fan vote says Domino as well at 66%.
All right.
Hell yeah.
So I didn't promise anything, but yeah, the fan vote actually ended up mattering, because I thought that was just going to be a fun engagement thing. So yeah, if you voted, your vote mattered.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for letting me show Matt won the truth.
Well, I mean, that was fast. What else is going on with you guys? You guys watching that Obi-Wan?
I am just shocked that the internet would get something so wrong.
You know what? I'm just
That's never happened in the history of ever.
You also think My Little Pony beats Powerpuff Girls, so I can't trust anything you think anymore.
I'm the only one who actually knew the ponies' names, man. I had to go to the mattresses for them.
I think you had a choice, the truth or favoritism, and you went with favoritism. So I'm sorry, but you were wrong twice tonight.
Says the person Googling what their topics are as for looking at them.
Hey, I Googled beforehand. All right, first of all.
I think it's pretty good so far. You know, Ewan McGregor.
It's going back to Obi-Wan. Through 3 episodes, I'm enjoying it though. Yeah, I think it's been a lot of fun.
I haven't seen any yet.
You're better off for it.
Oh my god!
I've heard incredible things.
It whips ass.
It whips ass?
Yeah.
I feel like that phrase could mean anything, good or bad.
That is not a good phrase.
Think about the context.
It whips ass. That is like such a weird such a weird thing to say.
Well,
I don't support it at all. I'm uncomfortable. That's all I'm at.
So we briefly touched on your podcast, Matt, too. Do you want to tell us about it?
Oh yeah. The podcast is called For Real. It's a podcast about documentaries. We go over, basically we kind of critique documentaries that we get, and we have suggestions for good ones, and we let you know ahead of time that Josh Gar can't pick good ones. And we also go over bad ones. We have another one coming out tomorrow, and I think you need to listen to it, because I think I actually said that the Mothman Prophecies was better.
Oh man, I'm no longer at the basement. I'm just above it.
Yeah, you are. You're like on the stairs leading up from the basement right now. It was terrible. It was all Kay's idea, and it was just awful. But yeah, For Real documentary. And I've been telling everybody, if you have a suggestion for me, Josh, I know you've given me like 38 suggestions. You really got to email us, because I forget things almost as soon as I'm done talking about them. It's not good. So just contact us at cancel the podcast at gmail.com with any suggestions, critiques, or, if you want to be a guest on the show.
So you can find me on Twitter at Josh_Scar. Scar is spelled SKAAR. You can follow the podcast at Talking Smack Pod. We also have a Twitch channel where you can watch me play Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, one of those combinations of words. We also have an email. You can email us at tsmackpod@gmail.com. You can like, review, comment, whatever on Apple, Good Pods, Spotify, Anchor, and most other podcasting platforms. And with that, again, we are running that charity with Leo from Voluntary Input. You can donate in the link in the description. Alex, who is our outro music for this week?
This week we have the Goo Goo Dolls, based on a conversation we had before we recorded.
And with that, everyone, thanks for listening. Thanks everyone who participated in the fan vote. And with that, take care.
Don't want the world to see me.
Watch Star Trek.
No.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Talking Smack, where we talk superheroes, movies, animation, and comics. And I am your host, Josh Scar. That was a really weird transition. I'm sorry. I forgot what I was doing for a second. We talk superheroes, movies, animation, and comics. I'm your host, Josh Scar, and I'm in a loop. Oh my God.
Listen, I told you, just read what I wrote for you on the damn iPad. Read it.
Alex.
When are we going to change it to Talking Stack Down?
Stack Down.
Oh boy.
Star Trek animation and comics.
Yes.
No. Okay. All right. Okay, or listen, I'm going to scroll the iPad back to the top. I'm going to have the cameras reset. We're going to try again. Ready? 3 places.
This one just says Alex,
places.
Sodom, and Gomorrah. I don't know what that means.
Matt, stop editing the damn script while we're reading.
I was going to say, I think I might need to go.
Oh boy. Okay.
I don't know what's going on anymore.
Places, everyone, and I'm grabbing the clapper. 3, 2, 1, and we begin now. God damn it!
Welcome.
So the thing about Steve you need to know is that he's like Loki.
Damn it! You're jumping ahead. That's page 47.
I think I've lost my script. Okay, so damn it! As you've heard, I'm joined by.
Right now.
As you have heard, I'm joined.
Intern, we need a coffee. We need to start over.
I am talking here, trying to introduce all of you. My God, I know I fucked this up royally.
This is Talking Stack. I'm your host, Matt.
Keep going. There's more on the page.
Also, here's Alex.
Thank you.
Josh.
Hello.
And John.
What up?
This is going as post credits. This is all this is going to be. All right. Starting over.
Oh dear Lord, you can't start over now.
Too late.
But then I can't make this post credits.
All right, quiet on set.
Yeah, shut the fuck up.
God damn it.
I seriously got in like this really weird mental loop of like, I am Josh Scar. This is Talking Smack, where we talk superhero movies, animation, and comics. I am Josh Scar. It's like, what the fuck is going on in my brain?
Shh, it's okay. It's okay. Think calming things. Do our vocal exercises. Lemon face. Scary face. Lemon face. Scary face.
The Human Torch was denied a bank loan.
Talking Star Trek, Andorians, and Cardassians.
No.
Okay. And end post credits. Let's start this over again.
Watch Star Trek.
God damn it.
God damn it, Matt.